The Brisbane Broncos on life support going into that contest on the weekend against the Bulldogs.
Mate, I came home to that. I came home to a bloodbath, a Bulldogs bloodbath. Jimmy Marr texting everything.
Yes.
And he sent me a photo. And it was a 2000 Bulldogs jersey he was wearing. It looked brand new.
Yeah.
I said, you've just taken that out of the packet, haven't you?
It was, I was on the ground for Fox League on Saturday, and it was a carnival-like atmosphere. Like the conditions couldn't have been better. 40-odd thousand, and the Broncos, as I said, they're on life support, and they put in a performance that was very much underwhelming. Kevy Walters had this to say.
Oh, I'm disappointed. Yeah, I just thought we were a bit flat from the start. Maybe Origin, has had a bit of effect on a few of our boys. We just didn't seem to find our mojo early, and they did. They've been doing it all year. So yeah, they were clearly the better side today.
Did you feel that the Broncos were part of that festival atmosphere, or were they hard enough in your eyes right from the word go when they were coming out to warm up?
Well, the thing is, Heels, I mean, there was an opportunity for Brisbane back at home, coming off a victory, 34 points to 14 against the Newcastle Knights, with Adam Reynolds back into the side. Reece Walsh played his best game. Ezra Mann played his best game against the Knights. They roll into Suncorp Stadium. Conditions perfect, carnival-like atmosphere. It was really building. There was an anticipation. The Broncos roll out onto the field. They're upbeat. They're on their toes, and then they kick off. And as Kevin just said, they were flat.
Yeah.
And it's a real concern, I mean, he made mention of, obviously, the Origin effect, but let's be fair here. The Cowboys, the same. They've had more players. The Roosters, Penrith Panthers, and their season was on the line. Plenty to play for, as he just touched on. So, I mean, he's spoken about their ability to try and still make the finals.
We just got to win, well, not so much win. Well, we've got to win, but we just got to get back to, playing our footy, showing up with try and freshen them up this week and start the game well. I think most people don't. We were flat from the start, so I don't know why that is. I've been in that position myself as a player, and you got 40,000 people here. Everything's on the line, but it just doesn't work for you sometimes.
Give me three things, actually. Three things why a team just can't come up when they are flat some days.
Well, first and foremost, Heels, I mean, it's an attitude. I mean, the one thing I do know, and this is sort of instilled from Wayne Bennett over the long period of time, you don't have to feel good to play good.
Right.
That's number one.
Yes.
Meaning you might not feel good, but you can still go out there and execute a role.
Yep.
And the Broncos just didn't do that. And again, I go back to in the context and the scheme of things, their season was hanging by a thread, and they just completely outplayed in that first half. It was a coaching masterclass from Cameron Ciraldo against the Broncos.
Great to see him get some reps.
Yeah, really condensed defensive line for the Brisbane Broncos, and they had a game plan for the Dogs, and they executed it, but executed it without their star player in Stephen Crichton, who pulled out on the eve of the match with a neck complaint. So,
okay, so attitude, one.
Yeah.
What other thing?
Well, execution.
Yeah.
Two.
And could they be trying too hard? Thinking too much?
Well, you can throw all that into it, but cohesiveness and team was not there. I mean, yeah, if you looked at what the Bulldogs were doing, they were in sync. They were as a side, and they were executing offensively, defensively. Defensively, the Bulldogs are the second best in the league, so they haven't fabricated that over 21 rounds. It hasn't been a fluke. But offensively, the Bulldogs played like world beaters.
Well, did Ciraldo say that to you, blokes? Pre-match?
He did.
We're just going to tinker with our attack.
Yeah, he tinkered with the attack because...
That has been tinkered with for a long time to be that good.
They obviously identified that Broncos have a really condensed defensive line coming out of their own end.
Have we always had that?
Yeah, well, we have, but they just shifted, and the Broncos just couldn't adjust. They didn't adjust over the course of 80 minutes.
Spread out.
It's not a bad one.
They condensed. They left way too many gaps. Those big wingers and centres of the Bulldogs just ran round us, didn't
Yeah,
they?
they did.
Selwyn couldn't turn fast enough.
16-10 at half time. There was a bit of life. I mean, Reece Walsh scored a brilliant individual try, which is a bit like under sevens, just give you the fastest player of the ball
found
and
that
hope
gap.
he scores, and he did that. And then Katoni Staggs right at the stroke of half time scored a try. So they go into the half-time break 16 points to 10.
Teased us.
And you just sort of thought, well, just maybe there's a bit of life here. And boys, we're hanging on. Second half, it was just a domination from the Bulldogs. So interesting to see the way that was unfolded. And I'd like to hear your thoughts. Direct straight to us, 1355, Suncorp Car Insurance open line, or you can text us on the Brisbane Broncos. Do you put the red line through them? While there's hope, do you stay with them? 0467 736 736.
Can't be much hope.
Yeah, the texts are coming through. The texts are absolutely coming through.
Look at Brisbane go. And you. We got one of the biggest world events ever going on, and you've got onto the Broncos first up.
Well, it's the talking point at the
Look at 'em.
moment.
The texts are unbelievable. Good morning, boys. Good to have you back, Eels. Thanks. Matt from Ipswich. Good to speak to you again, mate. Really worries me that Kevy said yesterday that they just looked a bit flat. There's a lot more wrong with just looking flat as a Broncos supporter. I'm devastated. They don't appear to give a, 4 dots there, about playing in front of 42,000 paying fans.
It makes good sense. Makes really good sense. I mean, the reality at the moment, and this is the fact, this is not me, this is the reality. If the Broncos don't play semi-finals this year, Heels, out of 4 years that Kevy has been there, they've played in 3 finals matches, and that was last year. Now, there's an argument to say that, yes, the Broncos were, when Kevy took over, were the bottom of the pile, and
Yes.
they went to the grand final last year. But to not play finals?
No, that's right. To not play finals after being in the GF and having a bad 17 minutes, that's all. With the roster that was now developed and more mature, this year has been horrendous. How much hope can you have? Can they get this together? I'm not so sure.
Another one here from Stu. Morning, guys. The Broncos talk about being in the business of winning premierships, but their actions suggest otherwise. Sell-out crowds and great exposure only to put in the effort on the field. Bit of text missing here. What does that say there, Hills? Have you got that?
I didn't know which one you were reading.
Just trying to get a mouse happening
You
here.
get that right. You'll be right. It's upside down.
Inside out, upside down.
You got it?
Oh, you got it. There we go. Stu, off on the field, the passive club, they're just making the money as a sucker, as a fan. We care too much, Stu. That Spat the Dummy, he's from Jimbooma, Stu. He's obviously showing his support behind what we've seen from the Broncos. Heels.
He's a good contributor, Stu, and they're a bit angry, aren't they? But I'd just say, come on, we can't be good every year. We got to keep supporting, but we expect more. Broncos A-graders, Reynolds, Walsh, Mam, Staggs, Cobbo, Haas, Ricky and Piakura. How does a team with so much star power give up 25-point loss to the Canterbury Bulldogs? Obviously, this team isn't prepared appropriately physically and mentally.
That's Oscar from the Valley. It's a good shout from Oscar. There's been a lot of talk in and around preparation, and obviously, as you know, Heels, to succeed at the top, you've got to prepare to the nth degree. You hear about Craig Bellamy and what his team does on a week-to-week basis. You see of Ivan Cleary and the Panthers, and you see the results on the weekend. Are they preparing well enough? Are the Broncos preparing well enough?